get some really good information that will inspire you and motivate you to make some really healthy changes in your life. And we're going to even give you some good action items at the end of the podcast so you can make those healthy changes. So stick around to the end.
Make healthy changes. Stick around to the end. Yeah, I'm Coach Brandon. If you're with us live on Facebook, give us a thumbs up. Tell us that you're here. And that's Rebecca's follow us face. If you're not following us on Facebook, thanks for listening. You can watch us do these talks live and ask questions and be part of the conversation. So do that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So today we wanted to talk about what happens after the fitness challenges that have become so popular.
Super popular. Yeah.
And honestly, they're just now part of a fitness culture,
Yeah.
right? That just all across the board, everybody does challenges now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a little bit of a story, but bear with me here. So if we go to the way back times before I met you, Brandon, I did my fair share of those challenges and the diets too. I did those. I did lots of diets.
Mm-hmm.
But I did all that stuff when I first decided I needed to lose weight. I remember the first challenge I did, and it was very simple. I was going to a gym at the time, and it was just something that they were doing that you could just add on to your membership. So I did it. All you had to do was attend 3 classes a week or do 3 45-minute workouts. No sugar, no flour. That's it.
Okay.
Easy, right? 3 workouts a week, no flour, no sugar. So my goal was to lose 20 pounds. And they told me if I do exactly what the challenge says, I would lose at least 20 pounds. So I'm in. And they said that was going to happen in a month. I was in my 20s. I had all the cards stacked in my favor. Young metabolism. I was committed to the 30 days. The gym was 2 blocks from work. I had everything going. And, I did the challenge and I was hoping to lose 20 pounds, but I lost 10. And I was very happy to take back my $250 from the gym because I didn't lose the 20 pounds they promised I would. 6 months later, following the challenge, not only did I gain that 10 pounds back, but I also packed on an extra 8. So I was heavier than I was before I started, much further behind. So by that point, I had stopped going to the gym. What was the point? I was getting bigger, not smaller, and I was tired because I had to go to the gym before work, which is at like 5 a.m. And I don't enjoy being awake that early, let alone work out that early in the morning. That's crazy. So I just kept gaining until I was no longer 20 pounds overweight, but now I'm 60 pounds overweight, and that was not fun. I did 3 more challenges after that, and each time I lost a little bit of weight, but never what they said I would lose. And I stuck to every single challenge very strictly. I think you can attest to how strict I am when I'm dedicated. But then the third time around, something pretty awesome happened. I lost over 50 pounds.
Yeah.
I did a challenge and I lost 50 pounds. I did it. I hit my goal weight. I learned a couple things about my body, and I was excited that I could fit into my tiny jeans.
Long challenge, 50 pounds.
It was
a lot of weight.
It was a lot of weight. And I got married shortly after that, and I was super thrilled about how thin I was for my wedding, how I fit in my wedding dress, all that good stuff. But a year after the challenge was over, guess what? I went back to normal life, and I gained it all back. Every single pound of it was back, and I felt defeated. I felt like nothing I ever did was going to be permanent, and nothing was ever going to work. So I'm just going to resolve myself that now I'm a bigger person. It sucked, but I gave up. It wasn't worth getting disappointed every single time. I just was going to wave my white flag and go about life. And I'm certain that there is at least one person listening to this podcast that can go, yep, I relate to that, because I've heard so many people have a very similar journey, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I want to also distinguish a couple of things. I don't know, fitness challenge has really just become weight loss challenge.
They sure have.
That's like one of my
good point.
One of my gripes is that, this isn't most of these challenges are not fitness challenges.
They're not. Mm-mm.
Like, we have a challenge. I'll be totally transparent. We have a challenge. It's an 8-week. It's all about habits.
Yep.
It's all
not
about
fitness.
Habits. Yeah.
There's fitness in there.
Yeah, absolutely. But
it's about habits.
Yeah. And so I think, everyone has been on this roller coaster, one way or another.
Yep.
Right. I think the generation before us, or our generation and before, can probably both relate to just the diets, right? And I think like the weight loss challenge is sort of the new like, I don't want to say fad diet. You know, I think it's just kind of like the new diet 2.0 trend, you know, and it's a step in the right direction. I don't know, but before we like get way into that, like I don't know, maybe ask you a couple of things that may feel counterproductive to our point.
Oh, okay.
But I think it'll demonstrate something important. So, are you happier than ever with your health and your fitness right now?
Oh, well, you know that I am. I think I'm pretty sure I know where you're going with this, but keep going.
Are you the lightest you've ever been or the smallest size you've ever been?
No. I am certainly not. No. And I definitely have more to me. I do have a tiny little frame, thank goodness, but I'm not in my 20s. Yeah. I have stretch marks. I have a butt. I have a real body. So now I'm at the point, though, that I love my body for what it is and how it is without trying to change it. It's strong. It's healthy. Yes, I lost a ton of weight and I really needed to lose a lot of weight, but I don't really worry about that anymore. My obsession isn't about my weight, you know? I feel like the weight loss challenge, like you said, is the new fad diet craze. You know, you try something hard, it's unsustainable, you get some results, you go back to living the only way you know how because no one eats nothing but eggs, broccoli, and chicken for the rest of their life, or 800 calories a day for the rest of their life. Then they go back to where they started or worse. I'm not on that roller coaster, and I'm quite happy to be there.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
There's always more to lose, right?
Always.
That's like kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I don't think, you know, we can really be unhappy, like no matter where we are with our health and fitness. And then I've also seen people who have more weight on them who are incredibly happy, right? And so I think that just tells me that there's more to it than just this number on the scale that we get obsessed with. And I think we know that the culture is changing around that, and we have beat that horse to death, right?
Yeah.
So we've definitely covered that,
but there's definitely times where I've said to you, like, oh, I feel a little bit on the fluffier side of things because I haven't been eating, but I don't obsess about my weight, and I don't check the scale every single day to make sure that I'm at that weight mark. I focus more on how I feel.
Yeah.
Do I feel strong? Do I feel good? Do I feel healthy? And if I do, I'm pretty content there.
Yeah. And I feel like you've hit that set point too, like where, you know, we can kind of wobble a little bit from side to side and not feel like, you know, it's disaster, it's the end of the world. You know what to do. Right. And you're able to kind of tweak things and make some little small reasonable changes.
Yep.
You know, and
exactly.
And not feel like, you know, things are just out of control. We have these like huge swings, like, oh, I'm either on the wagon or off the wagon type situation.
Right.
So I didn't want to like also play. I'm just going to work against us.
Perfect.
Play devil's advocate here. You know, challenges do some good things for us.
Fair.
In some ways, like, you know, it's a challenge for a reason, and I think that's, you know, I think it's good to challenge ourselves.
Totally.
Right. Challenging but doable. That's, you know, that space. But they do, you know, prove to us that we can do hard things.
Yes, they do.
And they do get results super fast.
That's true.
There's just like some major flaws, right? So those are good things.
Yep.
It's just, you know, sustaining those things is a general rule in my experience. Most of the time, the faster you get results, right, the less likely you are to keep them, right? Because they required so much willpower to get them.
Fair.
Right.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it, you know, that right there. Just like.
Yeah. Health and fitness is not an event.
That's fair.
Right.
It's not just like a one-time thing. Here it is.
Boom, I'm done. I did that and I'm done.
Yeah. And that was kind of how I felt it was before I met you, right? Like, I'm going to do this thing and get super healthy and then I'm good. I'm healthy. But, you know, after the challenge is over, most people, they get on this, I'll call it a post-challenge buzz. Like, you're feeling really good. You lost some weight and,
time to celebrate.
Yeah, celebrating. Like, look at all this awesome stuff I did. I did some really hard things. I lost a bunch of weight. I'm feeling really good.
Yeah.
And then, you know, slowly life starts to creep back in. And you go from working out every single day for an hour to, oh, well, 4 days a week is still really good, right? Or I'm still getting in 2 days a week. And then all of a sudden you're down to one. And then all of a sudden you don't have time for it at all anymore. And you're eating clean, but then slowly those little indulgences slip back in, ice cream on Friday. And well,
Yeah.
it's only Monday, but I can still have ice cream.
Little more
And
here,
little more there. And
Yeah.
the old habits that were issues, they start creeping back into your life now that you don't have someone telling you what to do every single day, right?
Yeah. We never find that set point.
Right.
That we were talking about.
And then you feel defeated.
Where's that sweet spot? Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just like, oh God, now I'm off again.
Mhm.
Things are getting crazy.
Yep.
And you just haven't learned yet, like where that point is.
Right.
Like, where's that point where
Where's
I
my-
can
yep.
do a little of this, a little of that. I'd still do work, right? I have a
Mhm.
reasonable lifestyle. And it's tricky. Like it's hard to do that on a massive scale,
Mhm.
like for a fitness business.
Yes, it is.
To do that for a bunch of people,
Yes,
right?
it
Like
is.
a ton of people at once.
Yep.
Right. Which is why, well, anyway, that's so, I mean, we can, I don't want to, so like everyone's done a challenge, right? We've all like done, I've done, different challenges. I've never done a weight loss challenge. But from a business standpoint,
Mhm.
they're pretty ingenious, right?
They are.
Like, I'll be honest,
Mhm.
as a fitness business owner, as a gym owner, it is super tempting to let's
Totally.
just knock out these weight loss challenges. They're huge,
Yep.
right? Everyone does them. And I don't want to make anyone feel bad for doing one
No.
of these challenges at all. Like,
I just
that's
admitted to
cool.
doing
You did
4 of
something-
them.
Yeah, you did something super hard.
Yeah.
Like really, all I want is to help you now that you've done one.
Yep.
I want to help you keep what you've got.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're genius, right? Like they have you get super fast results, kind of dramatic results.
Yep.
Really quickly. They, haven't taught you anything about how to live your life in a reasonable way,
Correct.
how to find that set point that we were talking about.
Yep. And then how to manage things from there.
Right.
Right?
So, none of us are going to eat, boiled veggies forever and chicken and work out like an absolute psycho every day for the rest of our lives.
Right.
We talk about falling in love with fitness. Like we have to go through the process of learning to love doing the things that are healthy
Mm-hmm.
for us. That is a whole thing.
Yep.
Right. That's a lot. And you'll never learn to love eating boiled Brussels sprouts and chicken. And
You will
working
not.
out like a
No.
crazy person, but you might build your way up to something closer to that, right?
Yeah.
Over time.
Fair.
But yeah, otherwise, unfortunately, that's where that yo-yo, comes from. So,
Mhm.
The other ingenious part about that, I'm just going to be super transparent.
Do it. Be honest.
But they're banking on you wanting to go back
They are.
to them when that weight comes back
Mhm.
because it worked last time, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to do it
So
again.
Just go back.
Yep.
Right. Let's not do that. Let's
Right.
let's break that.
Right.
So, let's say that you're not there yet, or maybe you're almost there again. I don't know. You've lost a bunch of weight, or you've done a challenge. You're feeling good. Okay, today's the day. Like, what do you do from there?
Mm-hmm. That's it. Right there.
What do you do
The work.
or undo?
And routines, right?
Yeah.
For most people that you learn to do for 30 days or 6 weeks or whatever the challenge is, it's not sustainable. You can't do those same things that you
Right.
just did for the last 30 days. And after the challenge is when you really just need to undo, for lack of a
I
better
think that's
description,
it,
what
yeah.
you just did for the last 6 weeks.
Well,
People might be thinking I'm crazy by saying that too,
Yeah.
right? Like, I lost all this weight. Why would I want to undo all the good things I just did?
I think it's undoing your thinking.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
Right.
undoing your thinking.
It's undoing, that like expectation. Like I got it, and now
It's
you
just
know,
there.
it's there.
Mhm.
I just have it,
Mhm.
right? And again, looking at it as less of an event, but like, okay, going forward, like I'm not going to do all that crazy stuff. What am I going to do now? How do we find that, right? How do we figure that out?
Yeah, Brandon, how do we figure that out?
Yeah. I think we have to be really realistic, like really honest with ourselves about
Okay.
like what we really are willing to do for now, right? For
Mhm.
now, like the whole idea here, right, is to build up to, to make small improvements over
Mhm.
time, right? We talk all the time about like jumping in with both feet and it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our willpower runs out because it's like a battery, right? And we've talked ad nauseum about.
I do like when you talk about what you're willing to do, though, because a lot of times people are like, I'm willing to do anything to lose weight. Are you willing to give up that time with your kids to get a workout in the morning, or is there another place that can go? You know?
And I hate talking about like the rest of your life.
Right.
Like, you know, like in recovery, there's this whole like kind of like, you got to change your whole life. You got to be sober forever, but it's just one day at a time.
Right.
Right. And that is what we're talking about.
That is totally what we're talking about.
Right. And so like, yes, like what changes that need to be lifetime changes? What things are we willing to commit to today with that long journey in mind? Right. Like, am I going to be willing to do this for like a long time?
Yep.
You know, so that is kind of a tough balance to achieve, right? And to walk. But I think, you know, returning to the point of like undoing some of the thinking that we have around this, I think that's the first thing, is this like undoing this totally results driven thinking, right? You got some results already. Now it's time to think process. It's time to start looking at our health as a continuum, right? And that is it's tough in a culture where, like, you know, we're conditioned to think we need to get in shape, and in order to do that, you know, we have to get our shit together and do stuff that we don't want to do. Like, so yeah, I think that's the first thing, is like, if we can sort of divorce ourselves from that like results based thinking, like I have to just do this until I get this. Like, how about like, I just have to do this. I need to do this. I get to do this, you know?
Yeah.
Right. And like, we've talked before about like expectations and sort of like, you know, that whole like expectations are resentments, you know, waiting to happen. And yeah, you can argue like expectations are goals, you know, and you have to have something to aim for, and that's different. But I think this, like, you know, our expectations are always around like this number on the scale, or often are around this number on the scale in this amount of time. We want it like tomorrow. And if I don't see, you know, progress happening all the time, then, you know, then what? Like, I'm out of here.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest thing for us to give up, like to work on, to try to separate ourselves from.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to your comment about what you're willing to do, because I really do love when you talk about willingness, because again, the first time I heard you say, what are you willing to do? I was like, anything. I'll do anything just to lose weight. But that's not really the case, right? So like when we talk about a big thing that people do is, you know, am I willing to sacrifice my 1 hour of free time every morning to do a workout? If the answer to that is no, that's okay. Like, I thought it was a bad thing at first. We're like, no, I'm not willing to do that. That's not a bad thing. That's okay.
No, that's all right.
Maybe you're not willing to give up your mornings at all to do a workout. That's okay too. I'm now at a point in my life where I don't do workouts in the morning except on Saturdays, because I don't like to work out in the morning. It's totally fine. After the challenge is over, and you don't have someone telling you that you must do this every day at 5:30 a.m., you need to remap how you do your fitness, right? So does the time you were working out during the challenge work for you on a long-term basis? If not, you can look at the type of activity you're doing. You can look at when you're doing it. And it's perfectly fine if a 45-minute HIIT workout every day is too much for you. That doesn't need to be your permanent life. Maybe you just need a couple times a week and a walk every night after dinner with your spouse or your friend or by yourself.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Totally. Yeah. Find your thing, like swimming, hiking, dancing, like whatever it is. Whatever makes you happy, being active, you know.
But you just have to look at what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're willing to do in your life. And if it's not something that you're willing to give up every single day, don't force yourself to do that. Find a way to make it easier in your life.
Right. Because there's a reason these challenges aren't any longer.
why they're called a challenge
Well,
too, because
yeah,
it's a
right.
challenge
Right.
to do this every day.
Yeah, and 6 weeks is about where we start cutting things off. We're like, I need
a break.
it. I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, that's not an accident. Those are designed that way.
Surprise, it's not.
Yeah, and that's, again, it's good to learn that we can do things that are really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
What happens though is that we end up thinking, like you said, I can do the hardest thing ever. That was like the hardest thing I've ever done. I worked out every day for 6 weeks, blah, 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 blah. I did all this work and I still don't get to keep the results. I still don't get to have what I wanted.
Right.
Right. And then, and then these feelings of failure, and then like, oh, what do I have to do? I just have to do that again. Yeah. And I think we just got to get away from that. So yeah, what things do you think make it easier to do this, right? To find those sustainable things?
Well, we probably could talk for absolutely ever about the different ways you could build activity into your life. So instead of talking about that and knowing that it's going to be different for each person, because guess what? Your life is different than my life, and your abilities and your willingness are going to vary from mine. The question I want you to really answer for everyone when it comes to an action item, because I think we're ready for some action for our listeners,
Agreed.
Is that, kind of leading into what you were talking about, if you could give us one tip, one suggestion for the person listening to our conversation right now on how to have the most success after your challenge is over and maintaining everything that you just did, what would that one thing be? One simple, easy thing to maintain.
That is hard.
Something everyone can do.
That everyone can do. I think everyone like, don't do it alone. I think that's like probably the biggest, like, share your journey.
Yeah.
Share the road with somebody. I think that makes it just so much easier. We're willing to do much harder stuff, or stuff doesn't feel as hard when we're doing it with other people.
That's true.
So I think having the community is really, really huge. If I can also just add, like, again, like we always say this, but I'm just going to keep doing it. Like, start out small, start with something ridiculously small,
I feel like you do say this quite a bit.
I do say it all the time. Like, take one class a week and be okay with that, or just like, hey, I'm just going to walk it in the door at this place. I'm going to check that out. Right. Just give yourself one action to take at a time. Because we make plans, right? Like, we just like...
Sure do.
Yeah, we make plans. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to do all that. Okay, I'm starting this week. I'm going to get up at, 4:30. I'm going to be at class at 5 or 5:30.
Do all the things.
I'm going to do that 5 days a week to get what I want. Right? And that, like, it sucks, right? There's a reason we have to ramp ourselves up and talk ourselves into it. So, like, just if we can just like, hey, Wednesday is my day, or whatever, right? And make it as easy as you can on yourself in the beginning, right? We say it all the time, like, we have all kinds of people who just came in like once a week. People ask me all the time, like in personal training sessions, hey, like, how often do you think I should do this? Tough. It's a harder question answer than people realize, right? Because what I should say is, like, dude, 5 days a week, you should be active. You should be doing something with your body really every day, but I can't, if I say that to people, then it turns into like, I have to do this every day. And they think it means that I have to, like, crush it every day. No, what you really have to do is learn to love it. And you can only do that by it's like, I love pizza, but if I was force-fed pizza every day, I would hate it.
You probably would.
Right? If I was like, I'm going to eat a pizza every day, like, no, like, that would get old super fast. But, once a week, I go out and have pizza. I love it. Right? And I probably feel like, I could do that twice. I could do that 3 times. But really, like, all joking aside, right, because pizza is just inherently enjoyable. And
it is.
Exercise
takes
really some time to learn how to enjoy, right? Sorry,
fair.
Trigger
but,
warning.
going back to when you said don't do it alone and find your community, that really was one of the two key factors in me maintaining my success, right? One was having a really great coach and trainer over here to guide me through, really cementing these new habits and routines in my life. I think the most infamous and my all-time favorite story is a couple weeks after my reset was done. Can I have this cheeseburger? You remember those texts?
Yeah.
Used to get those all the time. And now I just talk to myself about my cheeseburgers. But now that I have all that stuff down, my motivation to keep going really comes from my community. I just posted something about it last week, but here at the gym, knowing that I'm always going to have a good time laughing, having fun in class. And, sometimes if I don't come to class, I get some serious FOMO if I miss a workout.
Yeah, because it's fun.
It is fun.
Right? It's fun.
And I get to work out with our people now. Yeah. And if there's a new person in class, I get to work out with them, help take them through the circuits. Yeah. And it's really hard to describe, but I feel like what happens when you find your place and your community, your people, it doesn't feel like work anymore, right? Like I'm doing this thing that's going to help me feel good, but it's just part of my life. And that's what everyone should be looking for is how can I add this into my life to make it easy, to make it fun so that it becomes a habit. And it's just something, this is what I do on Thursdays.
Dude, yeah. Give yourself permission to not work yourself to death.
Yeah.
Please. That's a tough thing. You see a lot of people come in and they're like, I got to do everything that everyone else is doing. You do not.
To full force.
No, you do not have to do that. Do half the workout, right? We've got a couch in our studio, right? Like, I encourage everyone to work at your pace so it is not miserable.
Right.
Challenging but doable, not totally miserable. Yeah, and I think you just really struck the biggest point. Like, however you can make it fun. Also, like, returning to expectations, like, don't expect to. I think we expect to either fall in love with it and love it right off the bat. Everybody in there just loves what they're doing. Yeah, it took them some time to develop that.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are days I do things and I don't love it. And I'm not like, ooh, I get to lift weights now. But it's part of my habit and it's part of my routine. And overall, I enjoy being active and I enjoy my fitness.
Yeah. And do know that if you respect your boundaries, that you will enjoy it. Like, even if you don't want to do it, right? Like, what? I still today, right? I'm like, dude, I do not feel like freaking lifting weights or whatever. But I do always know that so long as I don't go nuts and I don't push myself beyond my limits and I don't let somebody else tell me to push harder than I need to push, I'm going to feel a lot better after I'm done.
For sure.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
And there's a whole thing we should probably do a whole talk about or maybe we've done this before, but about endorphins and the psychological benefits of exercise. But anyway, that is kind of my. I know I'm getting off the rails.
There goes Brandon.
We're gonna go. Know yourself. Be honest about your what you're able to fit into your lifestyle. Make it as fun as possible. Have a friend or some community. If you don't have that community, reach out,
come be part of ours.
Please do that. And manage those expectations a little bit. Let's be process driven, right? Journey driven.
Yep.
And
but if also you've recently finished a challenge and you have questions or you're not sure what to do, reach out to us. Find us on Facebook. Send us an email. Any way you can reach out to us, we're here to help. We love answering questions.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the toughest parts about being in this industry, I think, is seeing people not know what to do.
Right.
Not have.
We're here to help.
Please do that. All right. If you're already part of our community, keep doing what you guys always do.
Yes.
That's what makes our community so wonderful, lifting each other up all the time. And like you just said back, just raise your hand, reach out. If you could use something, we're not going to sell you anything.
Nope.
Honestly, you could be in Nebraska. And if you ask us for a question, I'm happy to answer and really help out. Really
absolutely.
All right. We love you guys and we will see you soon.
Bye guys.